What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Ugly Ear Podcast. We are very excited to have our guest Seth Gross on today. What's up, Seth?
Not too much, man. Just enjoying a nice day out, and yeah, hopefully get some work in today. But just chilling with the family and fiance and a couple of my buddies. So it's been good.
Nice, nice. Yeah, we heard you're newly engaged.
Yep. So yeah, I think April fifth or sixth. I'll get in trouble if I don't know the exact date, but one of those two. But yeah. So been engaged for a little bit here, and yeah, started working on a couple of the wedding things, and yeah, just got a house too. So yeah, things been going good. Been staying busy for sure.
Wow. American dream right out of college, right?
Yeah, working on it. I'm trying.
Dude, we're excited to have you on. We've got a lot of great questions for you. We want to talk about wrestling, life, your journey, becoming a national champ. Dude, your your standout, freestyle career so far. We're
Yeah.
excited.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm
Um,
fired up, man. Thanks for having me on.
well, the first thing is that we're all, other than Antoine, we're Wisconsin guys, so we're happy that you chose
Yeah.
Wisconsin as the place to spend your senior campaign.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it here, man. It's everything about it's just awesome. The Madison area is beautiful, and I don't know, man. It's just been something special ever since I've been here. So I'm glad. I'm in Wisconsin now. So
Yeah, so you followed Bono from SDSU. You want to talk about, the transition between Iowa and then SDSU and then coming to Wisconsin and what it's been like?
yeah. So I've been kind of the nomad out here, going school to school, I guess. But no, it's been great, man. I had my issues at Iowa, moved on to South Dakota, and I loved working South Dakota. I really did. The community was awesome. It was a small, just tight knit community there where you got to know a lot of people, and it was amazing. I enjoyed my time there. It graduated. They didn't quite have the stuff I wanted for grad school, and Coach Bono, Coach Reeder took off to Wisconsin, and I had an opportunity there where to get a great education and get back with my guys. So I capitalized on that opportunity, and Madison has been unbelievable. The resources, just the things to do in Madison and in the area, the people. I mean, everything about it's amazing, and I can't be more happy with where I'm at now. So it's been quite the journey going place to place to place, and I enjoyed pieces of everywhere I've been and learned from each area I've been in, and yeah, just glad my journey went how it did, and I am where I am today. So
Yeah,
Exactly.
absolutely.
And I want to just, I think just on that topic too, becoming, being at SDSU, win that national title, right? Did you at all feel like you had the support, but did you at all like feel that pressure, like, hey, I can really like be that guy to go on the history books, like entering the national tournament? Like, did you feel that pressure at all from that, or was it just more like just energy, like just straight, just
yeah,
support?
I think that first year when I got second, I was feeling a lot of that pressure, and when I went to the finals that first year, I felt like it was a lot more about my redemption story. It was a lot more about me wrestling a guy from Iowa, and I let that kind of overtake usually I go out there, wrestle, no pressure, and just enjoy myself, have fun. But I think I was feeling a lot like, hey, this could be first All American in school history, first national champ. You're wrestling a guy from Iowa, this huge redemption story. And I just let all the outside things kind of get to me there. And I think that a little bit affected my performance in the finals match. Cause you look at it, I was killing it up until that point. I majored the dude in the semifinals at the national tournament. I teched the guy the round before, and I was on fire, and the two dudes I'd beat the previous, the quarters and the semis had beat Corey Clark the last 2, 3, 4 weeks of the season, and so I don't think that's a match that if I'm on my A game that I should be losing, and no excuses. I learned a ton from it, right? I mean,
Right.
I'm glad I took that loss because who knows what would have happened after that if I didn't. So, but
Right.
I think that I let a lot of outside things affect me, and I think that affected my performance, but the year after that, when I went to finals again, I was just clear minded. I didn't feel like I had to win it. I just felt like, hey, I know I can win it. I know my ability, and I'm just gonna go out have fun.
And it's like really from us, I think from the outside looking in too, I think how you're able like, and I still, that's one thing I can say I admire about you too, and just watching you wrestle, but how you keep your composure and just how you're just so fluent. I mean, you could definitely tell like, like he is who he is, you know what I mean? And that no one ain't really gonna
Yeah,
stop him because he's just so relaxed, you know what I mean? And your composure is just amazing, to see and stuff and watch you
yeah.
do what you did.
Yeah, that's one thing, I've always focused on is, for a long time earlier, I'd say earlier college years and even in high school a little bit, I was super timid going out there. I'd get super nervous and I don't know if it's, through growing in my relationship with God, getting in trouble at Iowa and learning that wrestling isn't the end all be all of my life. Um that really took a lot of the pressure away when I started realizing that, I don't like losing, but I learn every time I go out there when I lose, and I'm gonna get better. And at the end of the day, my wins and losses don't define who I am. So once I started realizing that, I really just was so much more calm going out there, and I knew that I'd done the training, I'd prepared more than anybody in the country, and I wrestle this match every day in practice. So why go out there and lose this match because I'm nervous? So it takes a while, but it's something that I think everybody needs to keep working on and keep growing is their mental toughness.
Well, no, I was gonna ask. So that match with Corey Clark, was Corey your roommate at Iowa before you transferred? Did I hear that?
No, no, he wasn't my roommate, but I trained with him a lot. I think I stayed with him on my recruiting visit or something. But no, we trained quite a bit, and yeah, I
Same
mean,
weight
I
class,
was.
practice partners.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, I was at 141. He was 133. So I was kind of yeah. We wrestled at least a few times a week, and so there was history there, and we had some good scraps in the room when I was a freshman, and so it was yeah crazy that fast forward a year or two, and we're wrestling in the national finals. So that's something I would have never thought was going to happen, but
For
Well,
sure.
it's what you just said about wrestling that match every day in the practice room. Like you quite
yeah,
literally did when you were at Iowa.
yeah,
Um, that's interesting, and it's refreshing hearing your take on like taking some pressure off of like we do this every day in practice. There's no need to make this match bigger than it is. It's wrestling. You've obviously had tons of wrestling matches in your career, so why make this one any different?
yeah. Yep, exactly. And I think another whole aspect to it is you need to learn to do it in the practice room. I know guys even at the college level right now that are scared to give up points when they're practicing. And so, you got to learn to let it fly and cuz I was the same way in the practice room. I hated to lose goes. I hated to give up takedowns. I was stubborn. I was way too, I wasn't getting better because I was so stuck on I got to win this live go that literally does not matter whatever. And it's like how are you going to keep improving when you just care about winning to go. You're not learning new moves. You're not trying new things. So now it's like a little story. Like this last year when I got to Wisconsin, like I was wrestling with freshmen and stuff, and I try new things. I try crazy moves. I try whatever. I see something I want to try it out, and I give up takedowns. And I got took down by a bunch of the freshmen. I remember hearing them in the locker room, like they were in the shower or something. I was in the locker, like, dude, I took Seth down today. I was like, man, everybody takes me down, dude. I don't care, man. Like everybody takes me down. Like, it don't matter. I mean,
Right.
and that's the thing. Like, it's practice, man. I'm trying something. You took me down because I tried to freaking lateral drop you, and I've never done that in my life. Things like that. But that's how you're gonna
Right.
get better. It's like that's how I'm gonna learn to use those moves. Is I'm gonna try something I suck at in practice over and over till I get good at it. And yeah, I might get taken down the first 50 times, but now when I go wrestle Sebastian Rivera at Midlands, now I can actually hit that lat drop because I
Right.
did it yeah, like I failed 50 times in practice and I started getting it slower, better and better. And now I can actually go out and hit in a match. And that's how you're gonna get better, right? You can't be scared to give up takedowns in practice or lose a go that I mean, practice your time to literally do anything you want with no repercussions. So that's a big thing I try to preach to guys. It's like try things, get better. Don't
Yeah,
stick to the same 2, 3 moves you've been doing for the last 8 years.
Right. And I think too, we see that
right.
like especially when you're competing like it's like your match like Roman Bravo, right? And the fact that you're willing, I mean, I wouldn't even say it's gamble because it's just from our side looking in, it just looks like it's just transition. You just see an opportunity, you taking it. And so we
Hmm.
really do see that when you're competing and and you're knocking off the top
You
guys.
don't
You know what I mean?
hesitate.
Yeah.
You don't
Yeah.
hesitate. And that's what makes you great, what I mean, and different from a lot of these other guys, out here that we're watching, a lot of these top level guys. And that's why, I think
Yeah.
if you look at it as a coaching perspective, like a matchup with you is so difficult because, your scrambling ability, you're always, thinking about the next move, what I mean, your transition, you're unpredictable.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
it's just amazing to see that.
And your big moves in transition are really just on a different level. Like everyone's, it's like, okay, you're good at this, you're good at that, but your big moves in transition, I think, are like what you're the best at. You know, you're able to hit
Yeah.
those big moves and just and flow with people until you're like, oh, boom, here's a four.
Yep, yep, and
Right.
I mean, that's actually been something I've really been trying to focus on because, you can put if you can go score a takedown to back points, right, you should never lose a match like that, and I focused a lot on just especially after my surgery, that was my big thing is like I knew that I didn't have a ton. If you look back, I was, I'd take a dude down and I tilt him up 5, 6 times. But as you start to guys start to learn how to stop tilts, guys start to be ready for your stuff. And so I knew I needed to add something to my wrestling game. And I knew that, I needed to start learning some big moves and scoring some big points. And so that's what I focused on. I went in the wrestling room just having fun and trying new things to put people from their feet to their back. And yeah, it ended up panning out. You look at my matches against a lot of those top guys. I won the matches because I was able to put them on their back early. Took down DeSanto Cradle. I threw Sebastian Rivera. I splayed RBY. All those big matches were because I was able to hit that quick transition, get my back points. And I mean, one thing I think that I struggled with this year was I got way too comfortable with those leads. I kind of sat on them a little bit where I know I could go out there and keep scoring points. And it was a tough year, going down to 57 after a year off having surgery and stuff. And I don't think that I wrestled nearly to the level that I'm capable of, but I did what I had to win a lot of those matches. But I'm gonna keep getting better off of it. But yeah, like I said, that was a big focus was score those takedown to back points.
Right. And I just want to I want to ask you too, taking that year off, right, and recovering and stuff, how did you adjust like that training, taking that year off? I know you're watching, we're seeing the Sirianos and fixes and stuff, but I know you're probably taking note and already strategizing when you came back, but what did you do in your training in that off time, and watching, not being able to compete, but what were you doing during that, I know you were recovering as well, but
Yeah. No, I mean that was honestly that was one of the hardest like 2, 3 months of my life was going through that surgery because I couldn't. The only thing they allowed me to do after a month was walk. So I couldn't get any sort of sweating in. I couldn't do any sort of lifting. When you have back surgery, man, it's like you can't do anything. So
right,
I was sitting on the couch. I'm watching, Suriano go and win a national title. I'm watching these dudes that I beat go make world teams, and I'm just sitting there on the couch, not even. I can't get on the mat. I can't do anything, and it was, it's something that's completely out of my control, and it was tough on me, man. But I think it gave me a little bit of a fire getting back, and I would be lying if I said that it was a smooth process getting back on the mat because it wasn't, man. There was days where I was like, dude, my back is so bad. Even after my surgery, I was like, my back's so bad. I don't know if I can get back out there. I don't know if I can. I wanted, I
For
luckily I
sure.
had Coach Reed or Coach Bono just preaching, stay positive with it, and if you need to take time off, if you need to do this, we understand. And they were really awesome through it all, but it was tough on me mentally, and I still think that it's still holding me back just a little bit because it's still something that I go through a hard workout and my back still hurts really bad for a few days after that, and I'm learning to deal with it. I'm learning to train around it, but it hasn't been it definitely hasn't been easy, but it was definitely quite a process. But yeah, like you said, it was what I did do during that time was I'd sit there, I'd do a ton of grip workout, and I'd watch wrestling, and that was about what I did for 2, 3 months. There's literally nothing else I could do, so that was kind of my go-to. And I like watching a lot of international wrestling, so I think that was the biggest thing, man. Visualizing and watching wrestling.
right,
Yeah, and you get yourself you're doing what you can, right? You can't do a ton, but you're watching wrestling, you're getting excited about it. You're getting that itch, right, to get back on the mat so that when you are able to get back on the mat, you're like, boom, let's hit the ground running. Let's go. I've been wanting to try
Yep,
this. I've been wanting to try that.
yep,
So
exactly.
I got a question I'm dying to know about. Do you think that you are a better folk style or freestyle wrestler?
Ooh, all right, that's a tough question. If so, coming out of high school, I would have hands down said I'm a better freestyle wrestler, right? In high school, I was a 3-time Fargo champ, 3-time folk style state champ, but I would have said I'm a way better freestyle wrestler. And I think that as soon as I started getting good at top and folk style is when I would say that maybe I'm a better folk styler now. Maybe, so I think it's up in the air, but I also haven't been able to spend as much time doing freestyle. So I think now that I get to, go full out freestyle year round, that it could be a different story in this next year or so. So I'm excited for that. But yeah, I'd say high school I would have said freestyle, but ever since college I'd say folk style has been kind of my thing, being able to get on top and turn guys. So, but we'll
Right.
see. Now it's all freestyle focus. So
I'll tell you what, I
Yeah,
think me and the
absolutely.
boys, we were talking about this and how you performed at was it the Farrell tournament? And it's right, in season with folk style, but we're watching, your weight class was so loaded, and the guys that the Sirianos and stuff, and guys actually took like that Olympic red shirt off, and the fact that you were just able to come in and just run the tables, I mean, that says it all
yeah,
itself. I mean, we're hearing like you hearing that you're not even fully like you're training, but you're not even fully like focused in on it, but what you're able to do. I mean, we as
yeah,
the future for you, man, is incredible.
Different weight class too. I mean, you were staying down. You weren't filling out at 33. You were staying down
yeah.
to do work internationally, right?
Yep, yeah, and I'll tell you guys a crazy story that I don't think I told anybody about. Kind of the Bill Farrell going into that. So, first of all, the cut for that was insane. Like
Had to be miserable.
one of the worst. I mean, looking back, obviously it turned out all right, but it was a leading up to the Bill Farrell was probably one of the toughest weeks of my career. So that week I was getting down to weight. I was actually doing really well, super disciplined, and we left on, I want to say, Thursday night or something like that. Whatever. We left on a Thursday, and on Tuesday, right, everything was going good. And in practice, I was practicing with one of the freshmen, and I did like a Granby row. We were practicing folk style at the time, and I completely popped the cartilage in my rib, like tore it up super bad. And
Had to be
dude, it was
miserable.
the most painful thing I'd ever dude, I ran, I
What?
went and laid down in the trainers, and I was like, dude, there is absolutely no way I'm wrestling this weekend. Like, I'm done. There's no way I can run to make weight. Like, dude, I can't go. And
Wins it.
Re- Reader walks on in, and I was like, dude, I don't know, like I don't think I could do this. And he's like, hey man, stay positive. All right, do what you can, control what you can control. We'll go on out there and we'll make a call. You don't have to make a decision right now. And I was like, all right, man, but I'm telling you, like this is awful. Like I don't know what I'm gonna do. So, anyways, I gotta get down to weight. Using, I had to, probably get in trouble for saying this, but had to use the sauna a little bit, get down to weight. Some different things. Yeah, that sauna. But so I'm freaking spending my day in there
Jesus.
the next Wednesday trying to get down to weight, dude. I
Wins
literally could
it.
barely freaking walk and breathe at the time, and I'm just getting down to weight. And I don't know if anybody's popped out their cartilage, but it is like it's terrible. And anyway, so I'm getting down to weight, and I remember the day before I left, I was in the team room, dude. I was laying down, and I stood up to get something out of the fridge, dude. Freaking passed out and fell on one of my teammates, dude. And it was,
Oh my
bro. You could
god.
ask them all like that. I think they were all just staring at me like, what the heck is going on right now? And
Wow.
you can ask them all about it sometime. But anyway, so
Well, that
I
never
survived the
happened.
passing out. We get out to New York. And I somehow make weight, dude. I woke up the morning of weigh-ins a pound and 0.2 underweight. I was 124 point something that morning, and I went to bed a pound 0.2 over. So I have no idea how on earth that happened, but that's the lightest I had weighed in so long. And I get to
Jeez.
weigh-ins. Well, this is probably one of the biggest things that helped me. So I get to weigh-ins, and they let us weigh in an hour early, and I was like,
Wow.
no freaking way. So they let us weigh in an hour
Wow.
early, and I remember I still didn't even know at that point if I was going to be able to go out there and wrestle. Like I did my warm up, and I could barely warm up, and I went over to them. I was like, dude, if I get taken down and squeezed in the gut, I'm going over. Like there's no way. And they just looked at me. They're like, don't get taken down. I was like, all right. All right.
Well, dang.
So I went
Wow.
out there
So it
and
was a
first match.
3 hour weigh-in.
Yeah, so we got 3 hours before we went. That helped. Dude, that helped so much. I don't know if I would have freaking been ready to go if we didn't get that. But So I went out there. I actually got taken down my
Yeah,
first
that's
match, but the dude
insane.
didn't try to gut me, luckily. But then I didn't get taken down against Suriano. I didn't get taken literally because I was so scared to let somebody on top of me that I was probably wrestling more defensive than I normally should. But
Wow.
wild whole wild week, man. It was crazy.
Wow.
Dang.
I mean,
That's actually
that's
a
crazy.
cutting weight horror story.
Yeah, it was, dude.
It
I
almost sounded
I,
like
I
you
have
had a
nightmares.
yeah, it almost sounded like you had a floated rib too, like a dislocated rib.
Yeah, no, I did. Yeah, I got it. Still to this day, it's like sticking out. Like you could feel it. Like it's terrible. It's like
Wow.
they say.
Oh my
Yeah, dude. It was awful. It's one of the most painful things. I iced it like nonstop until the Bill Farrell and had like this stim thing on it, and yeah, it sucked.
Wow.
It was hurting me for the next month or so, and I'd always tweak it up in practice. But somehow got through that tournament. I don't know how.
Dude, on
oh my
top too. That's
goodness.
amazing.
Uh,
That's amazing.
But Seth, that's craziness. I can't believe that because I think you wrestled probably your best tournament against the best competition. I mean, that's tougher than nationals. You know what I
Right.
mean? Beating all those guys, like you had multiple national champs in that weight class.
yeah, it was crazy, man. I think of 4 or 5 national champs in there, and I wrestled 3 of them. So yeah, it was crazy, man. And yeah, I mean, first time down at 57, so that was pretty good. I think that now I get acclimated to the weight a little bit better this next year, and get ready to go. That I'm ready for these guys, so I'm
Right.
excited.
And I mean, look at you. I mean, you were a wounded puppy and still came on top. You know,
Yeah.
like that says so much, man. And I think my question too, what during that time, like when did you start like in practice, like working on your freestyle? Was that like 2 weeks out, a week out, or like how'd you do that?
To be honest with you, I probably did 2 or 3 freestyle workouts leading up to that. I mean, I just did our college stuff, was in shape. I was ready. I mean, I've wrestled freestyle my whole life, so it is what it is. But it was no like I'd go work parterre. I'd do a little bit in front head position. That was about it. That's the big thing. Like now that I'm getting into freestyle and like actually focusing on these freestyle positions, it's gonna help a lot. And I think my biggest areas, is my parterre stuff and just off front head pinch. I think that's where I've given up a lot of points in the past. Is I get to my low single and a guy exposes me there. So I think there's a few really big areas that if I improve on that I'm gonna be ready to go. But yeah, it wasn't like it wasn't a big focus. Obviously parterre was big, but the goal was train. We were expecting that I was going to go out to the US Open too and wrestle there and do some more freestyle throughout the year. So we were going to kind of slowly work more freestyle in throughout the year, and then after nationals that 2 weeks we were just going to hit it hard on the freestyle scene and get ready to go.
Right. Wow.
That's awesome.
That's
The
incredible, man.
So the RTC in Wisconsin, having Ben as a coach, what's that like?
It's awesome, man, and I think that he's such the perfect mix for what we have going on. Bono and Reader are super, about the, basic baseline defense, doing things right, positional stuff, and then Ben's the guy that's going to come in and show us, how to roll around and what to do in certain positions that Bono and Reader might not always go over. So I think it's a great mix. You have Bono pushing you to your brink every practice and getting Ben in there every few days or every a couple times a week or whatever. I think it was a good just refreshing thing for the guys and gives us a little bit more of a laid back practice to spend some time on technique. So it's great having him around and just having Ben Askren involved with things, just helps it as a whole, make it. I think it's going to help us a lot making it to the next level.
Right.
Absolutely, and I like what you're saying about the different perspectives. Like you get the Reader and Bono, and then you get the Askren. That's awesome, man. He's a cool guy. I got to follow him around and vlog for him this past year. He's freaking
Yeah, I saw that.
entertaining.
Yeah, he is. He's a funny guy, man. He's an interesting guy to talk to, and always has some good things to say.
Yeah, definitely. So do you want to talk a little bit about his story wrestling?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, definitely. That's something I've been working on for quite a while now, a couple years now. But yeah, we're mainly focusing on camps a lot and just really involving. I'm trying to spread my faith a little bit and get around. I love giving back to wrestling, so we do a lot of camps throughout. Right now, Minnesota, South Dakota. We've gone down to Colorado, but we're rapidly growing where we're doing camps and stuff. But really, just focused on giving my perspective, how my faith has impacted my wrestling, and just creating relationships with kids at the end of the day, because I think I have a unique story and been through a lot of the things that people will probably go through in their life, with getting in trouble or going through injuries, and being able to go out to camps and talk about my story and how big of an impact God had on my life, and being able to share that with kids, I think can really help inspire them and keep going, because I know that I get messages all the time about kids who are thinking about quitting or being done or turning away from the sport or just giving up on things because they're going through something and it's tough at the time, and there's an obstacle in front of them. And a big thing I preach is just put one foot in front of the other, be consistent, and 1 year from now it's going to look a whole lot different. And that's something. After I got kicked out at Iowa, I was working at Target, and I remember that was something my aunt told me. She's like, keep focusing on where you want to be, put one foot in front of the other, and I promise you, a year from today things are going to get a whole lot different. And what do you know, a year from that day, I was getting ready to go compete at the national tournament. So it's crazy, and I think that's a big thing, no matter how low of a point you are in your life, that it's going to get better as long as you're doing the right things and you're making an effort, right? It's going to get better. Just be consistent, keep working.
Right. And
Yeah,
I was actually one of my questions I was actually going to probably say for last, but since we're on the topic, I think that's one thing I admire most about you too. And as myself too, like I'm, competing, and I was baptized last year too, and I'm trying to live out my faith a lot more too. But I really want to hear how, your faith has, you could go a little bit more in depth about how your faith has impacted you, not just as a wrestler, but even off the mat too as well.
Yeah, obviously, the faith it's my driving factor in life, man, and that's the most important thing to me. And I'd say, as far as wrestling goes, is when I found my identity in Christ versus finding my identity in wrestling. That's when my wrestling really took off, right? When wrestling was everything, and then, I got kicked off the team. I thought my life was over because my identity was in wrestling. And I had so much pressure that I needed to be the best, that I needed to do this or that. And when I found my identity in Christ, it was like, I don't need this anymore. I want this, and I'm going to try really hard to do this, but I don't need it. Right. And that took so much pressure off me, knowing that no matter what happens in my wrestling career, if I go win an Olympic title now, or I'm done wrestling tomorrow, that it's cool, man. Like I did my best. I put my effort and I tried. And if I win or lose, right, God still loves me. My family still loves me. I still got a lot of things going for me. It's not who I am. Wrestling isn't my identity. It's my faith. It's the people around me. So I think that was the biggest kind of change for me, is my faith just had an enormous impact on me, as far as putting pressure on myself and being able to just go out there and have fun and really just enjoy it, instead of feeling like I had to do something.
Right. Wow.
yeah, absolutely. And one of the things I like to say is adversity doesn't reflect character; it reveals it. Everything you talked about, like this trouble you ran into at Iowa, and then breaking your rib at Bill Farrell. You know what I mean? Like all of these things that, like, adversities come your way, and the way that you've responded to it has really revealed your character. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, and that's something that it wasn't like that. If you really look at it, when I got kicked out of Iowa, dude, I wanted to give up. I wanted to fall in bed and never get out again. I wanted to, I was gonna work at Target and never wrestle a day in my life again. Like, it wasn't at that time. You look at my character, it was like, man, what are you doing, dude? And luckily, I had some awesome people in my family that were able to pulled me up out of there, and a God that really helped me get up and realize, where my identity was. And, I think that really helped me discover, my character, what I believed in, who I wanted to be, and a lot of things about myself. But yeah, it's tough. It's not, it's something that, to the now, I go out, I lose a wrestling match. I'm going to be 2 seconds later sitting in the corner cheering on my teammates. You look before everything, I'd be the guy that, something gets thrown at me, I'm going to sit and complain about it. I was going to, let it impact me for weeks. And now it's just like, nothing really impacts what I'm trying to do. I know I have my goals, and I'm gonna do whatever I can to keep moving towards them.
Right. And I wanted to ask
That's
too, like,
awesome.
was there anybody specific that brought you to your faith that helped you?
Um,
Without being too personal, it's okay if it's a little personal, but
Yeah, no, I got no problem talking about anything to do with my faith. And I just say, I grew up, my family was super into going to church. So I would go to Bible studies. I was involved a lot growing up, but I'd say that I was, I didn't really quite understand it. I knew my parents wanted me to do this. I knew that it was just what I thought it was supposed to be, right? It wasn't something that I really tried to discover on my own or really seek out. And so when I got in trouble and I got the scholarship taken away at Iowa, kicked off the team, um, I was at a dark place, and that's where you know my mom would send me prayers. People would send me scripture. They'd send me things, and for a while I wouldn't even read it. I'd just be like, whatever. Like I tried to do things right, and I blamed God for a while. I was like, why would you do? Like that was the first night I ever drank in college. Was the night I got in trouble, and I was like, dude, like God, I tried to do things right. Like I tried to follow you, whatever. And I was really blaming God at the time, and then they would send me the scriptures about grace and how God's love and that the just everything. And just slowly, one night I just decided to start praying about it, and I started talking to God. I started to just really try to figure it out for myself now. And I think that was the most I ever like grew my faith in such a short period of time, was just like when I was in that dark spot and I needed it more than anything. And now after that, it's just been no matter what, if I'm at the top or, winning, or if I'm struggling, it's always just give it up to God now. And I just say that the biggest thing for me was just creating that relationship where, I'm spending time in prayer daily. I'm spending time talking to God, getting to know him, letting him know what I'm struggling with, letting him know what's going well, just everything in my life. So I want him to be involved with. And I think that's where I really started to see growth in my faith.
right. And I
That's
can't
awesome.
tell you, man, like hearing your testimony, man, and just the amount of people, that you continue to inspire, man, it's an amazing, blessing to see for sure.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man.
That's when you go and do camps and you've got all these kids looking up to you. I mean, you're a superstar in the sport, man. There's no two bones about it, right?
Right.
You've got an opportunity to be that mentor for a lot of these guys, and seeing the way you're doing it, it's really cool to see.
Right.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that's one of my favorite things now is being able to share. And that's one question. A lot of people ask is like, don't you get uncomfortable sharing your story? Don't doesn't it suck talking about it so much? But I'm gonna talk about it as much as I can, man, because I want people to know, that I probably did a lot worse than what a lot of these kids are going through, and if they could see that I made it through it, that they can do it too. So I'll never get tired of talking about it or sharing it, because I think it can help inspire people.
Right. For sure. I think it's
Absolutely.
just something that we're called to do, right? Especially like in the position we're at. I think it's a beautiful thing seeing, with your success and accolades that you're able to still, use your platform, to give, credit where credit's due and find that uh, light in Christ, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm gonna get back to wrestling here. I got a question. How did you become such a savant on top?
I yeah, good question. Yeah, I really do owe a lot of it to AJ Shapa when I was at South Dakota State working with him. And so I'd say in high school and first year college,
Oh, that makes a lot of sense.
yeah, but I rode a lot of that same ride where I'd hook that back ankle, but I would only try to do a crossface cradle. Like I would try to do it, and right, if somebody knows a crossface cradle's coming, like it's not that hard to stop it. So I wasn't having much success, and then Shop was there. Luckily, when I went to South Dakota State, and he showed me, his tilt series, and he's like, always do this first, right? Do this over and over and over, and then if the cradle's there, punch it in, lock it up, and friggin' pin them that way. So from that point on, I just really focused on, I'm looking tilt first, tilt first, tilt first. And if it opens up my pinning combination, boom, I hit it. If not, I'm gonna tilt this dude 10 times. And I think it was just continuously adding to what I did on top that really helped. And
Absolutely.
he just showed me he was really good at breaking down the finer details of like coming way off to the side and keeping where I need to keep my pressure, how I'm going to capture the wrist. And yeah, I don't think I would have been near the person I was on top today if it weren't for AJ Shop. So I owe a lot to him as far as my top wrestling. And
For
so
sure.
that's where it came from, man. I would be a lie to say that, that was all me and, I figured it out. But yeah, I would say AJ Shop had a huge inspiration on my top wrestling. And yeah, I kept trying to add a little bit. I do a couple things a little bit different than he does, but it was mostly inspired by that guy.
Wow.
Nice. That makes a lot of sense. When you said that, I was like,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, I can totally see that because he's one of those guys who,
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. And the way Shop wrestles, I mean, you guys are built kind of similar. He's maybe a little bit more
Yeah.
lanky, but like the top control and the leverage, that makes a
Yep.
lot of sense.
Right.
Yeah, the one thing, like, dude, I'm telling you, he's way better than I am on top. Like, I mean, I do a couple different things where I was able to maybe, I don't know. I think he was a lot better on top though, because I would wrestle him, dude, and there was no chance I was getting away, and he knew what I was doing on top, so he would get away every time. And like this dude, I'd say the big thing though, I don't give him crap, but I'd say the only reason is because his fingers are like that much longer than mine, dude. Like he grabs he grabs your wrist and it's like wrapped around his hand. I'm like, dude, this ain't fair.
He's like a snake on top or something like
Yeah,
that.
oh, dude, you don't even. It's you don't want to let him take you down that first period. It ain't fun.
What about the 2-on-1? Because that's the dirtiest 2-on-1 I've ever seen, and you hit it on everybody.
Everybody. Yeah.
Everybody.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, that one I don't even know, man. Like I've always done so. I wrestled some Greco back in high school, and I was terrible at Greco. I couldn't throw anybody. I couldn't. The only moves I knew was a 2-on-1 and a headlock. So I would. That's all I would do in Greco, and so I started trying to learn about that 2-on-1, 2-on-1, and I never really used it in freestyle or folk style. And then I started getting to college, and I was like, I'm a freaking, I need to figure out a way to slow guys down, some of the better guys, and get my hands on them and do some different things. So I started working the 2-on-1 a little bit, and honestly, when I started doing that mule kick, like I didn't practice that, dude. I just started like people would pull away, and I'd get so upset that they'd get the 2-on-1 away without me scoring. And I don't know if I was just in a match, and I was like, I'm gonna freaking kick this dude's leg because I was getting upset or whatever. And I like kicked their leg out, and they freaking fell over, and I got behind. And I was like, okay. And I just started doing it more and more and more and more, and it kept working. And I was like, all right. So then I actually went to practice and started working on it a little bit more, and now it's one of my favorite things to hit. But it was like, yeah, it was more so because, so not to get too much into the mule kick, but when you get a 2-on-1, right, a guy's main reaction is to push your head away and circle away. So there's not a lot you can do besides that mule kick there. And guys kept just getting away, and I'd get a 2-on-1 and I wouldn't be scoring off of it. I try to get the legs off and nothing was working. So now when they push away, if you can kind of step into it and kick that leg out, all their weight's going backwards. So if you pull that down, they're going down every time. So it just kind of hit me one match, and I stuck with it and kept using it.
Wow.
Yeah, that angle you create when you get to the side of them, right? Because you've got lots of patterns off there. One's the mule kick, one's shucking him down, grabbing,
Yep.
to the outside. The other one is, of course, happened to RBY.
Yeah.
and
Yep.
and the spladle there. So it's like the you've got a bunch of different options, and just I mean, I guess I'm curious how often you drill that in practice versus is that just you break it out when you need it in live, or you break out, you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
I'd say I do it a lot in live at practice. I probably don't drill it a ton, but I worked on it. I'd say for a good couple months. I spent a lot of time drilling and working to add things to it because obviously when a guy sees me doing a mule kick 6, 7, 8 times in different matches, they're going to try to figure out a defense to it. And now it kind of two feels the guy is going to give. He's either going to back away or he's going to try to push in. And now I got for depending on what the guy does, I know what I'm going to do in each of those positions. And that's kind of what I spent my time learning. And now it's just, continue to stay sharp with it and keep adding to it. But yeah, there's definitely probably about 3 things I really like to look for in that 2-on-1. And, I'll probably continue to add some things, but I think for now that, it really covers all the defenses a guy could try to get on that 2-on-1.
Yeah, and it's so did you see Askren's documentary, The Funk?
I saw part of it. I didn't watch through the whole thing, I don't think.
At one point he's talking about the patterns, like he does this, I do that, I do this, he does that, you know what I mean?
Yep.
So when you get to
Yep.
2-on-1, you know, okay, if I go here, he's going to go that way, or he's going to go that way, or he's going to, you know, and then you have a move based on all of the patterns of different things that he could do. And then if
Yep.
he does this, I do that, and you just spam that position and you know everything. So when you get somebody there, you know everything that they're thinking and everything they
Yep.
could do,
Right.
and you're
Yep.
able to be
Exactly.
2 steps ahead.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, that's definitely kind of what goes through my head out there is, and that's for pretty much every position, but right, you got to have something ready for no matter what a guy tries on you, whether they're in on a shot, you're in on a shot, you're in a 2-on-1, right? Always having I mean, that's just the way you got to think if you want to stay ahead of guys on the mat.
Right.
Right. Absolutely. And
I
that
really
type of
want
thinking, like,
John.
go ahead.
I just have to ask him. All right, especially for this season. Out of wrestling, I would say DeSanto, Rivera, and RBY. Out of the three, which one was the toughest?
Um, I'd say first time when I wrestled him the first time, DeSanto was definitely the toughest, just because of his unique feel. Right? He like you watch it and you're like, dang, that dude, like that's pretty good, but like that looks pretty easy to get out of. Like I can clear a freaking guy grabbing my armpit, but when that dude clamps on, dude, it is a freaking vice grip, like insane. Like I don't even know how to explain it. So like I was like, I underestimated what it was like. So that's kind of why I think I got myself in so much trouble. Is like, and you tell people to try to throw that same thing on you, but nobody can do it like him. Like he's just so good at what he does there. And I think that no matter who he wrestles that first time, it's going to be very, very tough to just get that feel. So I'd say the first time I wrestled anyone, that was probably the toughest matchup for me. And obviously, once I really figured out, how to stay away from that tie, it kind of changed the trajectory of that match. But outside of that, I don't know. I think that they're all just so unique in their own ways and good at what they do. Like RBY is just insanely quick, and he's hard to get a hold of, and he moves really well, and he's a guy that just rolls around and doesn't he tries all sorts of crazy things, and then yeah, and then Rivera's pretty good position, hits his quick, he's good at quick finishes, and he's just a hard nosed wrestler. So they all just have their own unique style to them that it's hard to say which one's the toughest, but yeah, I mean they're all fun to
Right.
wrestle. And, I wish I could wrestle. I wish I had another year to wrestle with these dudes.
Right.
Hopefully I can go show up at Midlands and wrestle Rivera and DeSanto again or something.
I was gonna say too, like, so looking back at your collegiate career, what would you say would have been the most memorable match for you, or your most favorite?
I'd say there's two kind of matches that I'd say are some of my. There's a ton of them, man. It's hard to say. I'll go top three now that I can't decide. But
Okay.
so I'd say my first big one was when I won the world team spot against Mitch McKee.
Okay.
So I had to go. So he beat me in Vegas, so he got to sit out to the finals, and then I had to go wrestle him wrestle through the challenge tournament at trials, and then wrestle him in the finals if I made it. So I went to the challenge tournament. I ended up winning the challenge tournament, beat Nick Lee in the finals, and I wrestled 5 matches that day. And so then after I wrestled 5 matches, I had to go wrestle 3 more matches, or a best out of 3 series about against McKee, and first match, I go out there, I beat him. Second match, he beats me. So it comes down to the third match. This is my 8th match of the day. My first time ever being down to 133 or whatever since high school. And because I was a 141 pounder that year. And right away, I go out there. This dude takes me down, guts me 3 times. He's up 8 and I came out on top, got a reversal. He's up 8-1. I remember looking over in my corner, and Bono and Reader just like heads down, like shaking their head. Like I remember, I was complaining before that last match. I was like, dude, my body is so tired. Like I've never wrestled this much in a day, and like I think they were like, this dude's out. Like they were done. Like we had a good run out here, and I slowly just like. I think it went into halftime 10-5. I scored a couple more points. He got another takedown, and then it just slowly chipped my way back, and then I was down by 2 with about 15 seconds left, and got in on a single. This dude tried to do his his little head pinch, and I somehow came out on top, scored 2, and ended up winning crazy match. And that was my first big win. After I got in trouble at Iowa, and because I lost in the round of 12 that year, it just felt like I kept falling short of things, and that's when I finally, I finished on top, and I won the world team spot, and it was just a huge. It was huge for South Dakota State as well because we didn't have any big accolades going on for the team, and I think that really, really changed the trajectory for me because then I trained that entire summer. I didn't take any time off, getting for the world championships, and that's where I saw the most gains in my wrestling was that summer. Which I don't know if that would have happened if I didn't, win that match. So that's the first one. The second one I'd say is when I wrestled, when I bumped up and wrestled Bryce Meredith. I
Mhm.
just think that
Yep.
that was just, I lost the match, man, but it was just awesome. The talk about it, the hype around the match, the atmosphere when we actually wrestled, it was just awesome. And obviously, that's a match I really wanted to win, and I could, we got that crazy scramble that he came out on top at the end, but it was just something really cool to do, and I think that it really helped grow the sport. And then you had Jordan Burroughs and Frank Chamizo say that that they wrestled because that we started that, and so it was just cool. So I think
Right.
that was something to be a part of, and then the last big one was just obviously winning a national title, going out there and being the first national champ for South Dakota State, and just finally reaching one of my big goals in wrestling. So
Right. Wow.
That's awesome.
Really is.
I would
It's just,
agree with the Bryce Meredith match. That was so awesome to see,
yeah,
man.
that was
yeah,
on
I remember
one of our
saying,
topics to discuss about too, just how it was going in and how it felt because to me, just watching like, being a scramble guy and then watching you two like the funk, man, it's just we had our popcorn ready for that match, so it
yeah,
was very
yeah.
yeah,
It's
definitely.
fun, man.
The thing that I remember saying, I think I made a meme about it or something, but I was like, Seth bumped up a weight class, lost, and literally came out looking twice as cool. So-
Yeah, man, it was. It really was. That was a cool thing about it. There wasn't a whole lot of pressure to go out there. The only thing, it probably took. I was still a Hodge finalist. You probably, the way I saw it though is like it was Zane Rutherford. It was his Hodge Trophy to lose, and I thought, if I go out there and do something, spectacular, like bumping up, maybe I have a chance. So, I thought it was a lose-lose or a win-win situation for me, and it took a lot of pressure off that, and I just really got to enjoy the whole thing. There wasn't a lot of pressure behind it, and just a lot of just good things, right? I lost the match, and people are still, pumped about it. They respect me for it, and so it was just cool thing to do, and I would do it, 100 times over. Like this year, I wanted to do it against Luke Pletcher when we wrestled Ohio State, but obviously Tristan's
oh, that
tough
would
at
have been dope.
141, and it was a really close duel, so we didn't want to sacrifice, the duel, but I wish, if that would have been a cool one to make happen too.
no, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, the other thing I was going to say is when I first met you, I met you and Bryce the same day at that camp in
Yeah,
Illinois, and then we were talking about that match, and I was like, these dudes are like you and Bryce like get along. You know what I mean? Like you're good
yeah,
friends. So
yeah,
that was so cool to see that match, and like that was so good for just wrestling for the fans. Like Antoine said, we all had our popcorn ready for that one.
For
yeah,
sure.
yeah, yeah. No, Bryce is a great dude, and yeah, we got to know each other a little better through that whole match, super match thing, and yeah, it was great. It was great, and like I said, we enemies on the mat, but friends off the mat, and that's kind of the mindset. Some guys I obviously like a little bit more than others, but for the most part, everybody in wrestling kind of respects each other.
No, for
Yeah,
sure.
that's a big difference between wrestling and MMA, right? MMA,
Yeah,
everyone's trash talking. Wrestling's like, I respect that person, I respect that person, but I'm gonna try and beat them. You know,
yeah,
For
yeah,
sure. And I'm just saying to you,
it's
I mean,
a
just like through the discussion, man, with you, it's just like your resume. When you pull up your resume and we look at, all the guys that you competed, I mean, for sure, in my opinion, I would say you would go down in history as one of the, top pound for pound. You know what I mean? For sure, just because your resume alone, you're not even, it's from, hearing you talk, you're not even finished yet. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
it's amazing, man. It's really amazing to see.
Yeah, yeah,
we're
just getting
excited for
started.
freestyle, Seth.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
I think I get the chills when he says that, man, about him just getting started because
Yep.
you know, Lord knows
Yeah,
about
absolutely. Well, you're
Yeah,
doing
man.
lots of damage when you're like you said, you're barely even focusing on freestyle right now. Your goal was to be, multiple time national champ, and it sucks that, we didn't get to see the national tournament this year. 33 was going to be nuts. The other thing, like as Antoine was saying, was like the people you beat. 133 has been like consistently the hardest weight year
Yeah.
in year out. You know what I mean? And it's like it's just been the weight that's been crazy. So just being the top guy in that way, it just speaks
Yeah.
volumes.
Yeah, man. And wow. I mean, look at next year's 133-pound weight class, man. That's gonna be
something.
nuts, man. Yeah, you got Fix, you got Mitchik, you got Suriano possibly, you got Rivera,
Oh,
you got RBY, it's gonna be nuts.
I forgot about Micic.
So
Oh my
that's why
goodness.
that's why even though I'm a post grad, I think I got to show up at Midlands and show these guys what's up.
You're right. Hey,
Oh,
I
that
think you
would be
should.
so
I think you
awesome.
should.
Yeah, that'd be great,
Yeah, I
man.
mean, I think as long as there's not another U.S. Open or something, you might as well get a competition in, and our team's already going out there. So I'm hoping I can do that.
So,
Yeah,
Seth,
no,
my
definitely
question
should.
is, I gotta ask him about this too, and it's like, uh, what about Spencer Lee? Are you anticipating a match with Spencer Lee? Getting ready for this freestyle run.
Oh, I hope so, man. I hope so. I'm excited to wrestle. Spencer, Thomas Gilman, Fix. Those guys in freestyle. And like I said, if I can get, I'm telling you, my biggest weakness, and they can hear it. Whatever. I don't care who hears it, but it's my parterre wrestling right now. And if I spend, a lot of time this next 9, 10 months or whatever on my parterre, I think that it's gonna be a heck of a match. And I respect those guys. Fix has made world team. Spencer has won world championships. Gilman's, placed at the world championships. It's gonna be crazy. And I'm excited that I'm in the mix with these guys, and I believe if I'm on my game that these are guys I can beat. And it's gonna be exciting. And I think the other crazy thing is you look at it. You could have three U.S. guys, wrestling at the Olympics at 57 kilos. Stevan Michik, he's already qualified for the Olympics for 57 kilos for Serbia. Sebastian Rivera's the Puerto Rico guy. I
Right.
don't know if he can make 57 kilos anymore, but we'll
Right.
see. But so it could be crazy, man. It could be
100%.
three Americans in the Olympic semifinals. So it's wild.
Right.
There might be more than that. You never know. I
Yeah, who
think that
yeah, who knows?
I think there might be one that is going to go to another country. I won't talk about it.
Yeah.
Won't
Oh,
talk smack.
you're not talking about Suriano, are you?
I am.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think
Jesus.
Yeah.
I
But yeah,
think
it'd
I
be
think that might
crazy, man.
happen.
How wild would that be if there was 4 Americans in the semifinals? That'd be wild.
And I think it
Well,
just
it's
speaks a lot
happening
to
now
the country.
for
Well, I just think it just
for
speaks a lot
like
to people in the country, man. How tough the U.S. really is, man.
Yeah.
yeah, and you
Mhm.
see it like Russia's doing it right now. I mean, the guy that medaled for France, you think that guy's really from France? His name ends in Kov. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Russia
Oh yeah.
does the same thing in these other countries. So yeah, we're the powerhouses, right? It's U.S. and Russia, and Kazakhstan had a great year this year in their home country.
Yeah.
But yeah, for sure,
Yeah.
those
It'd
are
be
those are
wild.
the big dogs. Yeah, absolutely. Seth, thank you so much for coming on the podcast, man. Is there
Yeah.
anything else you wanna talk about? You want to cover?
I mean, I think that's pretty good, man. I talked about a lot of, the important things to me, and just getting to chat with you guys was awesome. And yeah, man, I'm looking forward to watching your guys' episodes and then getting, watching this podcast. So yeah, I'm excited to see where you guys take
For
this
sure.
thing.
Hey, we're gonna have to put him
Yeah,
back on, man, for sure. Because I
Yeah,
know
definitely.
I'm trying to say I definitely see you taking it over, man. And I just think, like when we look at the Surianos and the Sebastian Rivera's and just for me, I think your style matchup is so unique and a problem for these guys because like when you're wrestling like Suriano, like Suriano's gonna hand fight you to death, right? We know that.
Yeah.
He's real. It's gonna be a gun, but he's
Gilman's gonna push you out.
Dayton Fix,
Yeah.
inside trip guy. But I think with you, what makes you unique is like your ability to wrestle in all positions, right? And be a risk factor with big moves. I mean, that alone, it's a nightmare for these guys. So
Yeah, I appreciate that, man, and yeah, I'm gonna keep adding to what I do, and yeah, hopefully be ready to go.
yeah, man, we're getting some merch together
Absolutely.
too. So we're gonna send you some of our merch too.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I love it. I love it. So I think it's gonna be awesome.
But thank you
Yeah,
so
this won't be the only time you're on the podcast. Thank you so
Yeah,
much for
hey,
coming
yeah,
on.
yeah, man. Whenever, just let me know.
for sure, for sure.
Awesome, man. All right. Well, thanks everybody for listening. This has been the Ugly Ear podcast, and we'll see you soon.